I babysat my sister-in-law's twins every weekend so she could recharge. When I finally asked for one Saturday to myself, she told the family I was unstable and jealous of real mothers. My husband just said to let it go. So, I let it build. I didn't say anything after that day. Not to Megan. Not to Mark. Not to anyone in his family. I just shut down. I kept my mouth shut, but inside, something broke. I stopped offering to help. I stopped picking up the phone when Megan called. I was done being the default babysitter. The silence from his family kept getting louder. No invitations. No texts. No birthday cards from the nieces and nephews I used to be close to. I wasn't just excluded. I was erased. All because I asked for one Saturday to myself. Mark noticed the tension, but only when it affected him. Like when his mom stopped inviting us to family dinners. Or when his cousin didn't include him in the group camping trip that year. "This is what I meant," he said one night, frustrated. "You made it weird." "I made it weird," I said. "Your sister told people I'm unstable." He shook his head and said, "You take things too personally." That phrase. Like a slap. After everything I did for his family, for Megan, for those kids, I was too sensitive. He wasn't just dismissing me. He was siding with her. And I saw it plain as day. So I started paying attention. Watching. Listening. Megan wasn't just overwhelmed. She was manipulative. She knew exactly what she was doing, playing the victim, weaponizing sympathy, turning everyone against me without ever confronting me directly. She never called to apologize. Never admitted what she told them. She just acted like nothing happened. A month after it all blew up, Mark came home and told me Megan was struggling financially. She needed help catching up on rent. He wanted to lend her some money from our joint savings. I asked how much. "Just $1,000, he said. "To get her through this month." That money was part of what I'd saved for IVF years ago. Money I never touched, even after we gave up. It sat there like a scar. A reminder. And now he wanted to give it to the woman who told people I was mentally unstable? I told him no. He did it anyway. He withdrew it without telling me and gave it to her. I found out when I checked our account and saw the withdrawal. He didn't even try to hide it. That night, we had the worst fight of our marriage. I screamed at him, told him he betrayed me, that I would never forgive him for choosing her lies over me. He looked at me with cold eyes and said, "You've always made everything about you. Megan's doing her best. You just want to punish her." I didn't say anything after that. I stopped fighting. I just watched. And I started planning. Because Megan wasn't the only one who knew how to manipulate. I just never needed to until now. After that fight, something shifted in me. Not just emotionally, but physically. I felt numb in a way that scared me. I was still in the house, still sleeping next to Mark, but we weren't a couple anymore. He'd chosen his side. He just didn't know the cost yet. I started keeping a journal, not the kind where you write feelings. The kind where you log things. Dates, times, receipts. Every dollar he took from our account. Every time Megan texted him past midnight, and he got up to check on her. Every time he lied about where he was. And the lies started stacking up. He said he was working late. I drove by his office one night, dark and locked. He said he was helping Megan move furniture. She posted a photo on Instagram later. Finally relaxing after a stress-free move. Thanks to my girl's nail polish, no mark in sight. I took screenshots of everything. I didn't say a word. The final straw wasn't even dramatic. It was a Tuesday. I came home early from work, sick with a migraine. I opened the bedroom door and found him asleep in bed. His phone was on the nightstand, still open. I didn't even have to guess the passcode. He never changed it. The messages were there. Months of them. "Megan, I wish you were the twins' dad. You're more of a man than anyone I've ever known. Mark, I wish things were different. Megan, she'll never understand you the way I do." Photos. Voice messages. Even plans. Vacation rentals bookmarked in Oregon. Notes about when it's finally just us. I didn't scream. I didn't confront him. I closed the phone. went into the kitchen, and sat in silence for 2 hours. Then I called a lawyer. But I didn't file for divorce. Not yet. Instead, I started separating our finances quietly. I opened a new bank account in my name only, switched my direct deposit. I met with a financial planner to understand how much of our assets I could protect. I updated the beneficiaries on my life insurance. Small moves. Invisible moves. Megan kept texting me occasionally. Fake friendly messages like, "The twins miss you," or "Hope you're feeling better these days." I never responded, but I saved every message, even the voice notes, especially the ones where she slipped up and talked trash, thinking I'd never hear it. At the same time, I reconnected with people, old coworkers, mutual friends Mark and I had drifted from. I started showing up again. At dinners, art shows, charity events. Alone. People asked where Mark was. I'd smile and say, busy with his sister. Some of them got it. Some of them started asking questions. That was exactly what I wanted. The more isolated I made Mark from the outside, the tighter his world became with Megan. And that's when I struck the first real blow. I sent an anonymous tip to CPS. Nothing wild, nothing false. Just a concern about twins being left unsupervised while the mother went out for self-care for long stretches. I knew exactly what words would get attention. Then I sent Megan a single message. Still recharging? She blocked me within minutes. But it was already in motion. CPS showed up 2 weeks later. I heard about it from Mark. He came home, red-faced and panicked, slamming his keys on the counter. Megan got a visit from Child Protective Services today, he said. Someone reported neglect. I acted surprised.
What?
Why would anyone do that? He looked straight at me. You tell me. I didn't blink. You think I would do something like that to your sister? He didn't answer. Just stared like he was seeing me for the first time. That week, Megan started unraveling. She posted vague rants on Facebook. Some women are so bitter they'd hurt children to feel powerful, and keep your friends close and your enemies childless. I screenshot everything. Every post, every comment, every time she exposed herself with her own words. Because what she didn't know was that the CPS visit wasn't the only thing I triggered. I'd also reached out to her landlord, Megan's apartment. It was under a lease where she technically wasn't allowed to run any kind of childcare out of it. But the twins? She'd been posting ads on Facebook Marketplace for weekend babysitting while Auntie Megan gets a rest, letting strangers drop their kids off at her place. I sent those screenshots to her landlord, too. 3 days later, she got a notice to vacate within 30 days for lease violations. She lost it, called Mark in tears, screaming about how someone was trying to destroy her life. He believed her. He started watching me like a hawk. Locked his phone, changed passwords, moved his car so I wouldn't see when he left. Too late, because then came the twist even I didn't expect. I went to get a copy of our marriage certificate from the courthouse for paperwork just to make sure I had everything. And while I was there, I saw something I never thought I'd see. A filing from 4 years ago. A paternity acknowledgement. Mark's name listed as father of 2 minors.
Twins.
Not Megan's kids. Another woman's. From before the twins were even born. I stood in that hallway for 15 minutes, staring at the document. I felt sick. All this time, he'd made me feel guilty for not giving him children. All this time, he'd let me bend myself backwards for his sister. And he had other kids out there? Ones he never even told me about? I made copies. I went home. I didn't confront him. Instead, I called a friend of mine who works in HR at the school district where Megan had been applying for work as a teaching assistant. She was trying to get stable again, new job, new apartment, starting fresh. But they run background checks. And anonymous character references? Those matter more than people think. Especially when they come with supporting documentation. 2 weeks later, Megan was informed her application was rejected due to inconsistencies in her caregiver history. She posted one final rage message online. If I vanish, know it was her. She didn't use my name, but everyone knew. Everyone. After that last post, everything went quiet. Megan went dark on social media. Mark stopped bringing her up completely. It was like they were both holding their breath, waiting to see what I'd do next. But I didn't make a move. Not visibly. I kept going to work, kept cooking dinner, kept showing up to family functions, alone, calm, polite. His side of the family looked at me like I was a ghost. No one said anything directly, but they all knew. They just didn't know how much I knew. Mark was drinking more, coming home later, locking his phone like a teenager. I stopped caring. I let him spiral. Because the more reckless he got, the sloppier he became. One night, he forgot to log out of his email on our shared laptop. And there it was, a forwarded lease agreement from a realtor in Portland. Megan's name. His name. A shared account with a deposit already made. They were planning to leave. Together. All the while, he still slept in my bed. Still pretended this was just a rough patch. That we were working on things. So I let them plan. I let them lie. I watched every step, every click, every transfer. Because I had my own plans in motion. Earlier that month, I'd consulted with a divorce attorney, quietly. We prepared everything. Asset protection, fraud documentation, infidelity evidence, even the secret paternity filing. I'd also hired a private investigator, just to tighten the screws. Turns out Megan and Mark had been meeting every Thursday afternoon at a motel 20 minutes outside Tacoma. I had photos, timestamps, receipts. All of it ready in a neat package. But I wasn't done yet. I started planting seeds around town. Carefully. Quietly. A neighbor here. A coworker there. Just enough to get people talking. Megan's name floated around like smoke, unfit, manipulative, unstable. She didn't know it yet, but her reputation was sinking in slow motion. And Mark? I gave him exactly enough rope to hang himself with. The day he told me he needed to go on a solo trip to clear his head, I nodded and smiled. Told him to take all the time he needed. He left a week later. And that's when I made my move. Mark left early that Friday morning. He packed light, just a duffel bag and a laptop case. Said he'd be back in a week. Kissed me on the forehead like I was the help. I watched from the front window as he drove off in my car. He didn't know I had the tracking app still active. He drove straight to Portland. I gave him a few hours. Then I went into motion. At 10 a.m., I arrived at my attorney's office with every document, photo, and message we'd compiled over the last 3 months. We filed for divorce that morning, citing infidelity, misuse of joint funds, and concealed paternity. My lawyer filed an emergency injunction on our joint accounts. Everything froze before Mark could touch another dollar. I also submitted evidence to the IRS for unreported income on his side gigs, one of the PI's better finds. Then I made my next stop his parents' house. I sat down with his mother and handed her a manila envelope. Inside, printouts of the texts Megan had sent me, the screenshots from her social media posts about me being jealous and unstable, and most importantly, the confirmation of Mark's paternity of 2 children no one knew about. I said only one thing. You believed she was the victim. You chose silence over facts. I won't make that mistake. She didn't say a word, just turned pale and held the envelope like it burned her. By the time Mark and Megan arrived in Portland to pick up the keys to their new rental, they found it canceled. Realtor wouldn't return their calls. Megan's background check had flagged recent allegations, and the agency decided they weren't comfortable moving forward. She lost her deposit. Mark lost the lease. That night, I texted him one sentence. You're free now. He tried calling. I didn't answer. When he returned to Tacoma days later, his key didn't work. I'd changed the locks. The house was already listed for sale under my name. I'd owned it before we married. My attorney ensured he couldn't touch it. I dropped his boxed-up belongings at his sister's old apartment, with a note taped to the top. Since she always needed to recharge, maybe you can carry the weight now. But the final blow wasn't legal or financial. It was social. Remember all those people I reconnected with? A few of them were in local nonprofits and the PTA board at Megan's new district. I didn't have to push hard, Just shared what she'd sent me over the years. The real mother's rants. The jealous, infertile freak messages. The babysitting for cash ads while claiming hardship.
She didn't get the job.
Word spread. Doors closed. Mark tried to get his old friends back. Most of them stayed away. No one wanted to be near that kind of mess. And the woman with the secret twins? She filed for child support as soon as she heard he'd been tracked down. 2 kids, back pay, and penalties. He was broke within 6 months. I didn't rejoice. I moved on. I kept the house proceeds. Bought a quiet place up in the hills. Got a dog. Took back my weekends. I don't hear from Megan. I don't hear from Mark. Occasionally, someone in town will ask what happened. I just smile and say, sometimes people don't know what they had, until it burns. And I let the silence finish the story.